Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Open Book. I am your host and founder, Lakeisha Mabry. And y'all, we are so excited to have you tonight. We have an awesome event lined up for you with amplifying the voices of educators tonight and thinking of ways that we can meet the need for educational support for our teachers. Tonight, we have a guest panel of educators, and they're going to share with us some of the challenges that educators are facing right now, and then some possible solutions, because we don't want to just have problems, but what are some things that we can do to help support our educators? You would be surprised that this year we have had some of the biggest challenges and things that we haven't faced in education before. We can no longer turn a deaf ear to this issue because I feel that we are in a state of emergency. Just thinking about recently this school year, Fort Worth school districts, for example, have like 314 open positions at the beginning of the school year. A lot of schools are having difficulty filling those positions. We even at my campus have open positions. So if you know someone, send them my way. So we are in a state of emergency. Also, a lot of colleges are learning that students are not enrolling in a lot of the teacher preparatory schools, as many as they've had in the past. Are no longer enrolling in those programs at colleges. Many teachers left at the end of last year. And so this year, a lot of the teachers are seeing larger class sizes during a pandemic. So when I tell you we are in a state of emergency, but one thing is that tonight you will see we have our guest panelists, but also we have Dr. Stephanie Love on here tonight. And she has heard some of these issues and she has a plan for robust teacher supports to help support our educators today. Now, before we get into this topic, I know we have all heard of Eddie B. Comedy. With Eddie B. Comedy, he is very funny. And so tonight I wanted to show a short video because he keeps it real and he wants to share with us what teachers really want to say when asked how the school year is going. Let me share my screen with you all. There we go.
That you work right next to to stab you in the back. I came up with an idea in the meeting. The team lead took it to the principal like it was her idea. That taught me one thing. Never let a teacher ride your wave. I told people I'm on a don't ask, don't tell policy. Don't ask me to do extra duties, and I won't tell you to get out my face. One teacher gonna tell me you gotta fake it till you make it. I gotta act so nobody will get smacked. I can't even grade papers without drinking wine. That's the only time I can understand some of these kids' handwriting. These kids write in tipsy. One of my kids asked me what was wrong. I told her the truth. Mr. Brown is suffering from something that rhymes with Range Rover and starts with an H, and it involves teacher juice. Mr. Brown, you listen to rap music? Nah, I prefer the I finished my homework music. You should try it. Mr. Brown, I like that rapper named The Baby. Now, boy, you like Detention. Mr. Brown, I'm gonna be the next Cardi B. I sure hope so. Right now, your name will be Cardi D. Minus. You got on a medium shirt with an extra large 50 on your quiz. I like music I can dance to. Mr. Brown, I like to get down. Like half of y'all grades in here. One boy came in my class tardy and noisy. Boy, you can't be late and loud. Fix your face. Got on skinny jeans with a baggy attitude. Working up here, I'm gonna need a Tylenol IV. That you work right next to stab you in the back. I came up with
oh my gosh, that is so funny. So Eddie B. Comedy, he really touches on a lot of the things that teachers really want to say. Okay. But tonight we have some real, and he's a real teacher, but we have teachers that are also going to tell us some things that a lot of teachers probably want to say, but sometimes are hesitant to say these things. And so tonight, we have Brianna Hart, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you tonight. And then we have Miss Lakeisha Davis, and then we have Latara Carter. Am I saying your name correctly? I hope so. Latara. You're going to tell us when you get there. I apologize. I love to pronounce people's names the correct way because people mess my name up all the time. Instead of Mabry, I'm Mayberry, Marbury. I don't know where they're getting these extra letters from. But we thank you all for joining us as our guest panelists. So we will start with Miss Brianna Hart. Can you share with us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Hi, guys. My name is Brianna Hart, and I am a kindergarten teacher. This is my 7th year in the field. I started off in 4th grade, and the rest of the years have been in kindergarten. I think it's the best grade ever. And I'm so excited to be a part of this panel. Thank you so much, Ms. Mabry, for inviting me. So I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Hey, thank you so much for joining. And I worked with her in Birdville, y'all. We were on the same team, and oh my goodness, the energy. We taught 4th grade together. She brought a lot of energy to the team, and we had a great time. I know at the end of the school year, we got together and did our praise dance video. We were excited. So when I tell you, she is a wonderful teacher and she has a heart for children. Thank you so much for joining us. And Latara Carter, you tell me the correct pronunciation. I apologize. Thank you for joining.
Hi, you actually got it right the second go round. So my name is pronounced Latara, last name Carter. So super simple, La, and then Tara. Blame my mother. She gave me that ethnic name. But hi everyone. I'm really excited to I'm really excited to join your panel today. My name is Latara Carter again. I am a teacher. This is my 3rd year in the field. I started off with 3rd graders and now I'm with my 6th graders. And so I'm really excited to actually be real and be frank with what's going on. So I'm excited to see where this goes today. Thank you for allowing me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being a part tonight. Okay, and last but not least, we have Miss Lakeisha Davis. And she's going to a game, y'all, but she wanted to be a part of this conversation tonight. I think you're on mute.
I am. I was making sure I followed the rules and not interrupt anybody else that was talking. So I made sure I muted myself on entry. So good evening, ladies. Very happy to be a part of the conversation. Been speaking with Ms. Love for about a month or so now about her robust plan for her school, and I'm very excited about that. And just happy to be a part of the conversation from the teacher's perspective.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so we're going to jump right into this because like we said earlier, there are a lot of issues right now in education where we're almost seeing a mass exodus of teachers. I know at the end of last year, it looked like some teachers going back into retirement, resigning, going into different careers, okay? And so I want us to first think about the support side of this, okay? What are at least like 1 to 2 ways that you feel that educators are not being supported right now? And anyone can jump in and answer from the panel.
I would say just the unrealistic expectation. A lot of districts are treating this year like, okay, things are normal. Let's, pick up from March 2020. And that's not the case. Like I said, I teach kindergarten. So the kids that I have never had like a regular normal school year, like pre-pandemic. And so, yes, they're 5 and some are even 6 now. But I feel like some days I'm teaching toddlers, if I'm being honest, because they're not as developed as my previous kindergarten classes. And then it's like every year they're putting on new expectations for data and this test and that test. And kindergarten isn't anything like what it used to be. Like when I was in kindergarten, we had naps and all this other things that it was more developmentally appropriate. And now it's just like test. And I just wish that districts would just have that grace, to give us and to understand that these group of kiddos that we have this year, we can't treat them like we did pre-pandemic years. And I can see it, and every class is different, right? But I can see a major difference between the kiddos I have now versus the kinder classes I had in the past. And we just need more patience, more grace, and being able to help them with their social emotional needs first and building that rapport instead of just rushing to do these tests. That's where I feel like we're not as supported in. And I wish that districts would be a little bit more understanding about that.
And you brought up a very good point if you think about it, because we've been in the pandemic almost 2 years. And so, especially at the elementary level, some of these students, this is their first experience in school. If you have a ninth grader, the last regular school year they've had would have probably been about seventh grade. So although you have a ninth grader, you actually have a seventh grader in your classroom, because kids have gone without structure. A lot of them, they've been at home. And so forth. So even going back, thinking of the things that they need, social, emotional, structure-wise, discipline, and so forth. That's why a lot of them are coming in with end of the year energy as opposed to beginning of the year energy because they've been gone. Okay. And so I'm glad that you brought up that point. Did any of the other panelists want to add to that?
Ms. Franklin, you want to say yours verbally, or you want to just let us read it from chat?
Oh, I'm fine with just reading it from the chat. If you guys want to keep on moving with your thing, I don't have to speak out.
Okay.
But I mean, I can. So for me, I just think that a lot of teachers are under supported. They don't have the resources that they need. We're dealing with students who are coming from homes where they don't have all of the resources and the skills that they need, but the teachers are not equipped with the necessary know-how to teach those kinds of students. And so then those students are mistreated. And most often when I say those kinds of students, they look kind of like me. And so then they are kind of mistreated in the classroom because the teachers who are teaching them don't really understand them. And so I just think they need a little bit more support in knowing how to teach all students.
Oh, that's good there. Oh my goodness. We could go on and on with that one because I definitely agree. Because working in different districts, I've worked in 4 different districts. And on one side of town, students need something different, I should say, than on the other side of town. And so we just have to be equipped in handling a diverse group of students because they have different needs. And so the extra training, I do agree. And I love that you brought up that point, would be very, very helpful. Now, I want to ask you ladies, what are some of the misconceptions that people have about educators? Because I know that today I was even having a conversation with a group of teachers, and one of the things they shared is, although this is a high stress career, some people still think educators are just like babysitters. We're just sitting there grading papers, just watching children, but it's more to it behind the scenes. So what do you think are some misconceptions that people have about educators?
Can I jump in just for a quick second, and then I'm going to go back quiet. A lot of times we have a misconception about who educators are. And I think typically when we talk about educators, we only think about the classroom teacher. Our schools are supported by a number of staff members, not just teachers in the classroom. It is everyone who has any checkpoint with the kid from the time they leave their house to the time they get back to their house. Those are the educators. So our bus drivers, our custodians, our teacher assistants, our cafeteria managers and staff, our librarians, media specialists, I think they're called now, our teachers, of course, but we want to make sure we include everyone in that conversation about educators. And so we do have a guest on Zoom that is not in the classroom, but I want to make sure that she's heard as well. What are some ways in which there are misconceptions about educators, period? And we're not just talking about classroom teachers.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. Anyone can jump in. Make sure that you're unmuted.
Well, I talk a lot when it comes down to education, so I really be trying to put the mute on myself because I can talk about education all day. But one misconception is we're in it for the money and we're in it for the breaks. And honestly, if we are in it for the money and in it for the breaks, we're not going to stay in it very long at all if that's the only reason that we are in this field.
I agree with you. I can't tell you how many times I had someone make a comment, well, at least you have the summers off, or at least you have this holiday off, da 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 da. And it's just like that, but teaching is a calling, right? It's just not something I woke up and was like, yes, I think I want to teach kids one day. It's something that you are called and equipped to do. And a lot of times people think, well, it can't be that bad because you have 2 months off in the summer, or I'll do anything to have 2 months off. And people don't even realize all the extra things that, just like you said, Dr. Love, like with everybody that's involved in the schools, the cafeteria workers, the bus drivers, our amazing custodian staff, like they have the job that most people don't even want to do. And like just making sure that we're treating all those different workers with respect and everything. So I definitely agree with you with that as well.
And teaching is definitely a calling. I'm glad you said that. And when you know that it's a call, oh, go ahead. I want to get your comment, Ms. Davis.
I just want to say that not only is it a calling, but it's a labor of love. Most teachers and staff, you do what's necessary because the money will not keep you there. There's never enough money to keep you there. So you have to really love what you do and be able to labor for it, because it is going to be times it's going to be very difficult to do. And in a society where I think people also misconstrue the fact that teachers are degreed individuals. They didn't just wake up one morning and say, I want to teach school, but they had to go through a form of training as if anybody else in any other occupation had to do, and then go to the certification and the licenses to be accomplished at what we do. And so you take it for granted that you're just dropping off your precious children to professional people for them to learn. And I think, especially in this day and age where the job is required, when we have to teach you manners, we got to teach you respect, we got to teach you how to act, we got to tell you need to be clean, that you need, it's not just teaching a subject matter. You're teaching a whole kid and whatever they're bringing in that particular day when they come in to learn. So it's everything that goes with it. And of course, they leave the school at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, but a lot of teachers put in, and a lot of, especially custodians and janitors, pulling in extra hours and time to make sure that school looks good, food is prepared, that you get there on time. So it's not just the 8 to 5 we clock out and go home. And a lot of times you take whatever happens to kids or what happens to the day home with you. So it's a never ending job. And I think people take it for granted sometimes to say, oh, the teacher's supposed to, do everything, but necessarily, not necessarily, because our job is only required for us to teach subject matter, and that's what we're tested on.
Can I share a quick misconception?
Yes.
We always look at educators pushing out, meaning we're sharing our talent with students, we're sharing our talent with parents. I need for us to turn the conversation inward a little bit. As educators, we put on a mask sometimes every single day to go and give 100% to the students in our classroom. We have things that we're bothered by too. We come to school sick, we come to school tired, we come to school after having managed our own children. At home, maybe the children are sick, or maybe we're having struggles with our own children at home. I had the audacity to have 2 kids back to back. And on my 3rd child, I was completely exhausted, and I still had to show up the next day and teach and give my 100% to the students in that classroom. We have issues too. I went through a traumatic divorce about 2 years ago, and I taught all the way through it. And there was a lot going on in my lifestyle. But I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that the teacher is not a human being, that we're some sort of magic person, that we don't go through trauma and stress in our own lives that could affect us in that classroom. And I think if we don't stop that misconceptions with thinking teachers are superheroes, which we are, but again, at the foundation of this superhero is a human being that is going through things every single day. And if you're not focusing on that human being as a person, then you're not really supporting teachers, in my opinion.
Woo, preach. You just said a whole word. Because that is so true. You would be surprised at the things that teachers carry every day. No joke. This year, I have talked to many teachers that have broken down more so than in years before, tears and all, because of things not necessarily at work, but I believe that work is an extension of us sometimes. So I'm carrying, the stress that I have at home. We're still in a whole pandemic, teaching differently because that looks different now than it did before. It requires a new us. Okay. If we're teaching the same way that we did 5 years ago, we may stress out and burn out easily. And so one thing that I've been focusing on with my teachers, because I'm an instructional support specialist on my campus, is self-care tips. Every PLC, we're talking about self-care. Okay. What can I help you with? What are some strategies, things, ways that we can incorporate self-care every day? Not just waiting until Thanksgiving break, not just waiting until Christmas break, but I need a break right now in the middle of this day so I can handle these kids, so I can handle this meeting, so I can do this, do that. I need some me time throughout the day. And so with that, a lot of teachers and they're still, in my opinion, because I know we keep hearing that there's a teacher shortage. It's not necessarily a teacher shortage. There's a shortage of teachers wanting to come back to the same things that caused them to leave, feeling underappreciated, not supported, overworked, large class sizes, and so forth. We have a lot of good teachers that have gone on to retirement. They have switched careers. And so now we're seeing that we can no longer just sit back and pretend that something is not wrong. What can we do to fix this is the question that we should be asking ourselves in education right now. So I ask you ladies, and anyone can join in this and give an answer for this. Right now, there are a lot of schools who have open positions, not just open positions, but cannot find subs as well. What do you think school districts can do right now to help attract subs, attract teachers, and get more teachers to fill those positions? Do you all have some solutions or some answers?
I want to jump in as a new teacher. I would like to say when I first joined this career field, I did not understand the workload. I thought, okay, I'm gonna come in as a teacher and my job is to teach the kids and they're gonna give me X, Y, and Z and it's gonna be easy, cool breeze sailing. What I soon came to realize is that teachers actually, when we go home, we have a whole day's work of course load still to do as soon as we get home. The job does not stop. So if there is anything that we could do as educational system is just give our teachers more support in our academics, like help us lesson plan, help us build our content so that we aren't struggling when we get home. So our workload is not full on us. So we actually can have that home life versus our teacher life, because that's one thing that I just learned I could not cut off is my teacher life. When I go home, I'm not home with my baby, or I'm not home with my child. I'm home with my papers that I have to grade, or I'm home building lesson plans, or I'm home working, emailing parents. My teacher life doesn't turn off. So one way to attract teachers is letting them know, hey, we prioritize you going home and that being your home space. We're going to support you. We're going to give you resources so that way when you come to work, you are not feeling like you have a whole course load to do in 2 hours and you don't have enough time to do it, so you got to take it home. No, we're going to support you. We're going to help you through it so that you can have your home life versus your teacher life. Another way would be paying us our worth. Because we work so hard, let us get the fees like our doctors and our lawyers that get paid so we can appreciate the job and stay for years to come. Thank you.
I love it.
And that's from a new teacher. So some of you experienced educators on this call, please share out. How do we keep you from being frustrated and you won't want to stay? So how can
Well, I
we
know in
you?
Fort Worth, they bumped up the starting pay for teacher pay to almost $60,000 for new teachers to attract more teachers by boosting the pay. And at some locations, depending on what campus you are, you get bonuses as the campus does well. So they're trying to have incentives to attract teachers and to make them, or not make them stay, but to convince them to stay or make it more palatable for them to stay. I'm in Fort Worth. I work in Fort Worth ISD. I forgot to say that. And I'm at OD Wide High School. I actually teach special ed, and I teach social, emotional, academic support. So I teach or support kids who have intellectual and emotional disabilities that cause them to be aggressive in classroom settings. And so for the school that I'm particular campus I'm in, fortunately, our administrators are faith-based. So we do a lot of praying before and after school for those who would like to join in. But the administrators have done a good job of saying, just teach. Don't get stressed out. Don't worry about the little things. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you need help, if you're drowning, please let us know. We are here to help you and support you in that. And so they've been very supportive, and they've been very encouraging, and not, you know, how some administrators can just hammer. We need this. But I've been blessed. I'm at a campus where it's been, what do you need? And how can I support you? And how can I help you to be successful? And I know that's not campus wide, but that does go a long way, where all of a sudden the principal comes through with Sonic for everybody. Hey, office assistants, go around. We got Sonic shakes for all the teachers and all the staff. And so they've been doing a lot of having surprise things brought up to the school, and having teachers to just take a break. Just step out of your classroom and take a break. Administrators gonna hold your class for about 15 minutes, you know. So they know it's a struggle for us every day, especially in this environment where you have higher anxiety due to COVID. You're not attracting people because they don't want to come and work in COVID where there's no mask mandate. And in Fort Worth, we've already had 2 teachers that died from COVID. So who wants to sub in that? Who wants to teach in that if there's not protections for educators and staff and support staff, where you don't have the mask mandate, or COVID is everywhere and you have anxiety about that? So who wants to take that type of risk if they can go work another occupation where they may be able to stay at home or be protected in other ways? So you're fighting that as well. But that's just my 2 cents. I think the administrative staff has a lot to do with teachers staying or leaving. If your campus is very supportive of the staff, it's usually a way for me to stay. I've been more successful at campuses where the administrators were more supportive of the staff, and not so, I need this done, you need to do this, you need to do this kind of thing.
I totally agree with that sentiment. I'm also at a campus where my administrators are awesome, very motivating, very not taxing, not demanding, but how can we help you? With Mr. White in my first year was during the pandemic, where everyone was isolated. I didn't know the culture. I didn't know how things were functioning, and the students were using. I my failure rate was out the wazoo. I was not able to build and make connections with my students due to the pandemic and the online, and they're not in the camp that in the room with me so we can touch base. And it was just horrible. My failure rate got so high that my principal was going to have to put me on a plan just because the parents were complaining. He was good. He was like, Miss Frank, we're going to work through this. You know, what we need to do, blah, 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 blah. And his person was, but even through that, he was supportive. He was like, I have to do this. I mean, I knew he had to. It wasn't his choice, but I could tell that. You're not coming against me. You're not coming to hang me up. Even in this, what are we going to do? And he did my plan based upon what I said. He didn't put nothing extra on me. He let me identify where it was. He let me come up with the solution. And it was so short that it was over before, you know, he did what his director said. But it was a blink of an eye. And my kids and I built those relationships necessary. And we was just on a positive ball rolling. But I think I agree with you. Principals, I don't have much about what do we do to get them, give them more. But how do we keep them? Be positive, support them, you know, give them mentors. If you're old like me, because they thought, well, she don't need anybody because she's old, she doesn't need a mentor. I may not have needed a mentor, but I need you to help me know about teaching or teaching English, but I need to know how to function on your campus. You know, I need to know about the culture. I need to know about parents. You know, I need to know what's the best way to deal with my parents and deal with my students, even dealing with discipline. So I think the best way to keep a teacher is to do the same thing we're supposed to do with our students. Build those relationships with your teachers. Get to know them. Get to know how they tick and how they function. So when you get fake stuff that's coming from the parents, you discard it because you already know that's not how Miss Franklin functions, you know? But anyway, I'm going to end right here because I told you I can talk all day about education. And Miss Brazil, you know me, don't you, girl? Boop, boop, boop. This is my classmate.
I was saying that when I was like, is that Krista? Hey, girl.
So we've had a class reunion on here tonight. That is so funny. And I also worked in Fort Worth like the first 5 years of my career. And when I tell you, Ms. Davis, when you said about the prayer, that is going to be very, very important throughout the entire year. Okay. And Ms. Franklin, I just had that conversation today about what you said. The same way that as teachers, when we pour into our students and develop those relationships, our students actually will do whatever for us and perform for us when we need them to, because they know that we care. The same thing has to happen from admin level to your teachers. When they're poured into, when they feel appreciated, in return, the teachers in that school will pretty much run that school, okay, and do what they have to do for the success of a school. If you have teachers that are feeling underappreciated, that are not kind of knowing what the culture is, no one's helping them, they're quicker to leave and the climate and culture will go down. So I'm so glad that y'all talked about that part tonight. So this is the fun part. I know with Dr. Stephanie Love, I feel like every time we meet, I can dream aloud, but not only just a dream, but she wants to put these things into play. Okay. I never thought that some of the things that we talk about, I can't have that conversation with everyone, if that makes sense. Because some people's capacity to think on that level and to care on that level is not there yet. But she has the heart for teachers and to support teachers. And she's going to talk a little bit about that. But before she does that part, I wanted to ask you all, if you could work, and y'all have shared some great ideas tonight so far, if you could work at a school of your dream, what would be a couple of things that school would have or consist of that would be needed to make you thrive in an environment as an educator. So think about that, and let's have a couple of you share out, and then she's going to
let me just pause. I need
Okay.
everyone.
Oh, you want everyone? Okay,
yes.
So we're gonna go down the line.
I need to hear, because we've got first year teachers.
Right.
We have Miss K Love. She is a first year educator, and from her, not first year, because she was educating last year, but she's the first year in her role as a physical education teacher this year, so completely switched a new role. I would love to hear from her on what supports, if in her best dream, if she can design a school that's supportive of her, what would she want? I need to hear the other Miss Love, who's on the phone, who is also an educator, and she's in charge of student safety and security. So what if you had to design the best school from your perspective, what would you want to include? So we've got such a variety of expertise on this line. I'd like to hear just one thing or two things. And Miss Chime is also on the line. She is a nurse educator, and she can tell us also what some of the things that she would feel most supported with. So please, everyone, if you can't think of two or three things, just one thing that would make your school a dream school for you to work at.
So let's start with Miss Franklin. I'll just go down the road.
I was not going to say anything to last. I think two things, and I not directly in the education, but we talked about the spiritual aspect. I think that's important. However, I do believe that when we include the spiritual aspect, that we can't limit that to Bible and prayer. When we include the spiritual aspect, I think that should also maybe include meditation, right? A lot of us, I'm a Christian and I'm a minister, as a matter of fact. I just got my master's degree at TCU. But I think that we have to, even as we talk about color and broaden our view there, we have to do that as well with spirituality, that we don't eliminate anyone from that aspect. So meditating, we're talking about self-care, teaching people how to do that and how to do that within the day, how to do that, maybe having a room where teachers can go into and free their mind. This room, we practiced this at my last school, where we just played nice music. We had coffee or tea or whatever, and we just let teachers do planning time. We just practiced. It was just a pilot, and they went in like doing their thing for a week, and it was so refreshing for the teachers to be able to leave out of their classrooms and take what was that commercial? Calgon Taking Me Away moment. You're still at work, you're still in the classroom, you're still working, but you get away from it from a moment, refresh yourself, and you can go back in powerful. So I think that's important, just on the outside, and just a way to keep the morale going. Maybe after school activities where you get morale boosters. I created a club morale booster. I was in a real bad school. It was just low. And so we would do activities after school with my own money. I bought food for them every 6 weeks. I bought food, I bought drinks. We did games. We just reflected. It was nothing about school. It was about our own lives. It was about other stuff. And it was great. So just finding other ways, we talked about the person and to feed the person rather than just the educator. I think that's powerful in school.
Ooh, that's powerful. Thank you so much. And we have a comment also from Miss Twyla. It said, I would love if the teachers reached out more. My son is in a new school this year, and they've been wondering what happened to PTA. So having a PTA again, okay? Because some schools do have PTAs, but on some campuses, it's almost, extinct. And so just having better communication, I should say, with the teachers. So that helps with parents as well. Okay, Ms. Carter.
Okay, so when I first heard this question, two things came to mind. One is, we touched on it a little bit earlier about the social emotional support and how teachers kind of have to carry that baggage as teachers. Where we have to be the mothers or the caregivers for our students, no matter what they come into school with. And sometimes they come in with a lot of baggage, and it's hard for us to build that initial rapport with the student if they're coming in and they're very, very traumatized. So if I was in a dream school, I would love to have a school that had not only emotional support, social and emotional support for students, but for teachers. And that would look like mandatory counseling session, mandatory prayer, meditation, yoga session, something that will tap into that the mental trauma that most of the times that we kind of ignore and just say, okay, we're in the school setting. I need you to sit down and I need you to focus for the next 8 hours so I can teach you this content. And then when you go home, you'll deal with whatever you got going on again when you get home. So if we could tap on that emotional support in a more mandatory way, I feel like that would eliminate some of the stress or the baggage that teachers carry most days. And another way, another part of my dream school, my dream vision would be, I'm in a just to kind of brag on where I am now, in a fine arts academy, and it's such a huge transition from being in a traditional type setting. And what I've noticed in the fine arts academy is they put a big emphasis on creativity and arts, and just experience the child through their vision and not the teacher's vision of academics. And so my dream school would be more tapped into the creative side of students. It would be more tapped into their personality and their journey and their vision, and bringing arts to the children and just that type of sphere. And so that was the two things that came to mind when I first heard this question. And I hope everybody can kind of vibe with me when I'm saying this, but I would love some support with teachers with that baggage that we have to carry as mothers and caregivers. And I would love to really just tap into the students' creativity. Thank y'all.
Thank you. I agree. Let's go to Ms. Davis.
Okay, my dream school would actually have an actual social worker on campus and a psychologist on campus, on staff, not just that we call and they come over, but somebody that's ingratiated in the culture of the school, somebody that the kids know, but they're at the school. Now, I know the school that I'm at right now, it's a pilot program that they're looking at putting in other schools. It's called a success coach. And what a success coach does is they provide resources for the whole family. So if we have a kid who's in crisis, that success coach would actually go to the school, go to the family, and see what do y'all need to help the kid be successful. So particularly we had a kid who grandmother was actually suffering with COVID, and she was the breadwinner in the house. And so she was sick, couldn't go to work. And so they were suffering financially. And so the school sent the success coach out, and she helped get the resources so that they can make sure the bills are paid, that the kids had clothes and socks and clothes were washed, all of that. Like they go to the home and they help support the whatever to prevent whatever happens at home to bring to the school. So that's their sole job, is to connect the family to resources. So we even had a grandmother that was struggling, and she was having a hard time. She was raising the kids and she was struggling. So they set her up with counseling courses so she can go ahead and get counseling and sit down and speak with someone about how heavy the burden she's carrying. And also she had a daughter who's addicted to drugs. So they helped her get her into a rehab facility. So if it works, the Rainwater Foundation is funding it. But if it works, then they're thinking about putting it at other schools in Fort Worth ISD. But it's kind of, I thought it was a great idea when they told us at our first meeting when we all came back to school, that we would have selected as a pilot school for it. But I thought that was wonderful. I'm like, that would alleviate a lot of stress for the educator, because we usually have to track that kind of stuff down, to see why this kid is acting kind of like that. And so that's kind of that's happening at ODY High School currently. So they have like 3 or 4 people that are success coaches. And then, so I thought that would be great at a campus. But I also would actually like to have a real live teachers lounge. So before I left the education field for a while, and I was at worked corporate America, and but I didn't love it, so I came back. But they had a place where similar to what Chris was talking about, that you could go and kind of relax, read, and it was a quiet room, pretty much. That had a lounging couch or whatever, but it also had a lounge that was stocked with everything you need: soda, snacks, fruits, everything, and it even had like a mini salad bar. So it had, and weekly they had somebody come in and do yoga. So it was like from 11 to 1. Then they may have somebody come in and do massages. 1 week, like a different week, it was something self-care. And I'm like, that would be ideal if you could just sneak away instead in your 30-minute lunch. I could get a massage and eat me a salad. That'll be perfect, perfect. But they had somebody come in and do what is it? Zumba. Like every week it was something different. I thought I was like, that is so cool. If they could get that at a school, that would be so cool for teachers in that 30-minute window to be able to do something other than just sit down and just eat and rush back, but something to look forward to when you go to lunch, So like a real lounge area where it's just teacher based, a TV you could watch, kind of get away. That would be ideal for me, that you could kind of get away and kind of really get away. You know what I mean? Like it felt like a whole different place, even though you're in the school, but it felt like a whole different place that you're at. I thought those are my 2 things.
I'm like, what school is that? You can have a salad bar and do Zumba? Okay.
And we got a TV seems so easy to do. Just having a TV in a teacher's lounge. And
but I've never
seen one. And I've worked in many districts. I've
Me
never
too.
seen one.
Never seen one.
Never seen one. Thank you for mentioning that.
Some flat screens we can watch, Young the Restless or something, during our time to get away, or Love and Hip Hop, something just to get you out the background, just kind of feel like you're in another place, kind of like a mini home. But I was like, man, why we ain't got no TV in the lounge? You got coffee, we ain't got TV though.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Miss Hart, what do you want to share with us about your dream school?
Can I keep it real?
Please do.
Okay. I would love to be trusted and not feel like I'm micromanaging certain things, to be able to express and have my teaching style to fit the need of, me and my students. And sometimes it can be a little disheartening where you're trying to do X, Y, and Z, but yet it's held back because of whatever reason. And you may have people who haven't been in the classroom a long time, or maybe you've never been in the classroom at all, making these decisions. And I would just love to, just feel that support and be trusted, and no micromanaging, and just allow, of course, there's going to be expectations, procedures, and all that kind of things. But also I would say, I was writing down another one, is to respect our time, especially in the beginning of the school year, where I have to remind myself this every year. It's going to get done. It's going to come all together. But it always feels like there's so much PD, this procedure, or this, different training. And it's not as much time that we need to prepare our rooms and get ready for Meet the Teacher night, open house, whatever that might be. And I understand that there will be new things that they want us to implement into our rooms, but just having that time to where, if it's a PD day, we can have a work day in our rooms to get things prepared, or have, if we have paras that can come in and help us with copies, or this, that, and the other. And I agree with a lot that was already shared, just having that rapport with the admin, with the educators and all the other staff, just like we do with our students, because once those students feel that love and that connection, they're going to perform and do for all they can for you. Same goes for the teachers as well. So, but yeah, I agree. Everybody had a really great comment. So it's really good.
I love it. I love it. I totally agree. The micromanaging, a lot of teachers, that's adding extra stress. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. Also in our comments, Ms. Kirsten Love, she shared that she would love a school that holds scholars accountable for behavior and academics. If we hold scholars to a higher standard, they will meet them rather than settling for average. Also, as a PE teacher, she would love a school that encourages a healthy lifestyle through nutrition, movement and being able to express their creative sides. Thank you for sharing that. That is so true. And that's for students and teachers, okay? We were just talking about that today because teachers are on the go a lot. We're trying to get like snacks here, snacks there, can't really eat healthy, you have to grab and go. And so just having more healthier foods and access to that will really, really help. Miss Love, would you like to share? We have two Miss Loves, the other Miss Love.
Okay. I didn't know I was going to be put on the spot, but because I'm going to be very short because I'm mainly here for support. And that's one of the gifts that I have. I've always carried just the gift of support and even playing a lot of roles in the background. A lot of times, and it is piggybacking on Ms. Davis, I think, and Latara, and another one of the speakers was just speaking in general of maybe having a liaison or maybe a counselor or just someone that you can go to when you are dealing with or experiencing problems. Because a lot of times, and the teachers play a very strong role. Everyone always expect, the teachers to be very strong and answer all the questions, fix all, just the solution, fix the solutions, and give the solutions to any problems that might come up. And so just being a strong person, and I'm sure all of y'all can agree that a lot of times, even the strong person needs someone to go to. So who can you go to when you're experiencing, like she said, you have problems at home, you have problems on the job, and a lot of times you need just someone that you can go to in confidence, and that's where it will stay, because a lot of times, you're not comfortable with sharing different things that might be going on in your personal life or even on the job, because, a lot of times people, if you went to someone, sometimes it gets out and by the end of the day or whatever, everyone knows what's going on. So I think probably counseling, confidential counselor, someone that can be trusted within the system that you can go to when you are experiencing problems. So
With a soundproof room so that the secretary is not overhearing.
yes, absolutely.
That is so important.
It sounds silly, but listen, if you have I really feel like if you had a space to go with people that you trust, that you can talk to, and you feel secure knowing that your conversation is not leaking through the walls, that makes all the difference. Then you can be transparent and open versus you having to be cautious and saying, who's going to hear me or who's going to find out? So it sounds silly when I say it, but it's important. It really is.
And I see in the comments also, Ms. Franklin shared something about holding students accountable. Not only should we do that, but also teach them the proper behavior. And it must be consistent campus-wide. I love that. Anyone want to add anything else? Okay, so Dr. Stephanie Love, if you would like to go ahead and share with us some information about robust teacher support and Academy of Visual and Performing Arts.
Thank you, Mrs. Mabry. Well, the first thing I want to do is acknowledge the fact that a lot of the ways in which we've been thinking about and designing the Academy of Visual and Performing Arts, a lot of that has resulted from my own traumatic experience, my life experience, the trauma I faced as a child growing up, and also some of the things I've experienced as an educator over this last 20 years. I know some of the ways in which I could have been supported and the things that I needed. I think my first campus principal, when I came to work in education at Fort Worth ISD, my first campus principal, because he knew I was a strong disciplinarian, gave me no support whatsoever. And just because I was a strong disciplinarian, that did not mean that I did not need content support. I needed someone to talk to. I needed to run things by, a colleague. And so the ways in which we've been designing this school is really based on experience. I want to acknowledge that Mrs. Mabry has helped me in multiple different ways with co-designing our teacher support program. And when I say teacher support, I'm not looking at the ways in which you can give all your energy and best support the students. We're designing this program to support you as an individual. How do we bring joy to your life as an educator and support you in every single thing that you guys have already mentioned? How do we best support you so that you're stress-free as close as we can within our capacity so that you can give your 100% to students? These are tentative. Of course, everything is contingent upon us being approved for our charter school. We need every possible support that we can muster, from potential parent support to potential people that they enjoy, they understand what they're hearing, they would love to come work at Academy of Visual and Performing Arts, or if you are just a person that you enjoy what you've heard so far and you just want to be a general supporter. I'm not going to go work there and I don't have kids that attend there, but I believe in the mission. So we need your support. With that in mind, what I'm sharing is, again, preliminary. Let me share my screen. And I still need your feedback. This school is going to be awesome. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, so Academy of Visual and Performing Arts, for those who don't know, is a proposed creative arts public charter school. We intend to have K through 12 students from Fort Worth, Texas, specifically for District 8, which is Southeast Fort Worth, Texas. I grew up in 76104. That's where I want the school to be located, in the area in which I grew up. If we are approved, we will begin with 6th and 7th grade in 2023, 2024. So we'll have a year to build the campus out, to hire staff, to recruit students, and then we'll start with 6th and 7th grade. So with that being said, we were trying to think, because we know we're in a situation where there's a crisis in education, where we've got educators quitting and retiring and just going into different fields, how do we design a school in which we support teachers in every single way that we can in our capacity that will allow them to be as stress-free as possible? Because if I can take some of the stress off of you as an educator, I know you're going to be more innovative and creative because you're going to have time to think. I can remember when I was masking, I was putting on a mask and going to school, I was just getting by. I needed to follow exactly what my lesson plans were saying. But when I didn't have that worry anymore, that's when I was at my best. So the way we've talked about it, Ms. Mabry and I and some other community leaders, is how do we relieve those stress? Let's talk about the basics, and some of you have already shared. We know you have to have a competitive salary. So we're trying to design our school that we are competitive, but I do have a question for you. Would you want your incentives to be tied to student performance, to test scores? And anybody can chime in.
Nope. No, I would not. I would like my competitive salary to be tied to my merits and my ability to build creative content.
Gotcha. So with the benefits package, you know, teachers get teacher retirement, they get health, and we're going to try to keep those healthcare costs down. With, again, that's within our capacity, because you guys know how it is with healthcare. But thinking about your retirement plan, would you rather have the TRS pension, or would you rather have like a 401k, 413B type retirement plan?
I would rather have a retirement plan, like a 401k.
Everyone else? Anyone else? 403B, 401k? Say it again, Ms. Davis.
I said I would prefer to have a type of 401k type of situation.
Okay, now let's get beyond the basics. We've talked a lot about that teacher lounge, right? And I heard Ms. Davis mention that 30-minute lunch. I can remember being a new educator and I ate fudge rounds for lunch, right? For those Debbie cakes, and then I went back to teaching. Can you guys help me think through this schedule? Because I feel like 30 minutes is not long enough for lunch. If we had a campus schedule that's 8 to 4, that'll accommodate a 35-minute lunch, would you support that? Or would you rather have 8 to 4:15 with a 50-minute lunch?
I would rather have B.
Who else?
B.
B for
Oh, somebody's baby said B. Oh. Okay, so 50-minute lunches, which means we'll have time to eat and have our little healthy snacks and do a yoga and watch TV. Great. That's what I thought. The ways in which we're trying to navigate that professional learning is that we're trying to do 3 major things. The first is onboarding to the culture of the campus. And Ms. Franklin, you mentioned that. So those first 8 to 10 days of a school year is about onboarding. Now, in typical professional development that I've always had, that first day will be, this is how you log in, and this is when you turn in your lesson plans and stuff like that, kind of organizational stuff. We're suggesting that those first 2 days need to be all about you, period. And then those other days are about content, about organizational things. But we want to acclimate you for 2 full days on what it means to be a teacher at AVPA, and then the ways in which we're going to support you. And we're going to create a plan for you. And I'll tell you about that in a second. So starting the school year, onboarding, no matter if you come first day of school or if you come mid-year, we're going to onboard you for 8 to 10 days. The second is the planning periods. We have 2 blocks of planning, and there's not different from a lot of school districts. I worked in Mansfield ISD, and we had 2 planning periods per day, right? So we're still trying to hold to that. But what's unique about what we're trying to do is that collaboration period, where Wednesday afternoons, we have a 2-hour block where you're just collaborating with your colleagues, looking at lesson plans, writing them together, looking at student data, looking at student work, and making that work. You do not have any kids or any responsibilities outside of that. That is just your time so that you will not take work home. So that Wednesday afternoon, for those 2 hours, that's your chance not to have to grade papers when you want to take care of your baby, or, you know, spend the weekend or Sunday nights like I used to do, writing lesson plans for the next week. Are we okay with that, with the professional learning, or is that not enough?
That's good.
Good, thank you.
I think it's good.
For your leadership and growth, I do not know the name of this. Ms. Mabry and I have been going backward and forward. We need for you to be a part of the culture of the school. That's so important for me, because I've worked in organizations where I was just there. So we're gonna create a personalized flight plan. I don't know what our mascot would be, so that's why I put flight in quotation marks. But we have personalized learning plans for students. We need the same thing for teachers. And this is not just about you professionally, where you want to grow professionally. It is everything. How can we help you socially? How can we help you physically? Do you want to how can we help you financially? Do you want to buy a house? You put that on your flight plan. And guess what our community partnerships can do? We can partner with a local organization to have people come in and help us get qualified for mortgages. We got realtors, we have teachers that are realtors. That's about coordinating what you need to help relieve the burden off of you. Not just professional, but what are some things outside of your professional life, things that you want to get better at? I know today I will probably put losing 15 pounds that I've gained eating ice cream every night, writing this charter application. So my flight plan will include the Zumba and the gym and the nutrition. And look how many people in our community have that skill set that we can invite to partner with the school to help you on your personalized plan. So we want to make sure that not only are we supporting the students in a personal way, that we're helping the teachers grow professionally and consider their other well-being pieces. That second part, which is important to me and Ms. Franklin, we both said just because we've been in education this long, that does not mean that we should not have mentorship. And then that last one is the culture leadership. The culture drives the school. The culture is what makes the school joyful. I would love for our staff to drive that joy that we put back in school. So then each staff member will be a part of being a part of a group or leading a group, ideally, that puts joy back in the school. I'm not going to tell you what that means because you guys have to tell me how to have fun. When Miss Mabry and I talked, she said, oh, we need to have family-centered events. You know, we're a performing arts campus. If we're approved, we will have an outdoor amphitheater. What can we do with that, people, if we're talking about family? Outdoor concerts, family nights, and we're not talking about school stuff. We're just having fun. So far, so good? Family-friendly policies. I made a big mistake when I was a principal in West Dallas, and I feel bad about it 10 years later. I told one of our teacher assistants that they could not bring their child to school. And this baby was 12 years old. And the staff member had to work that day for professional development, and her child was off. And so I reminded her that school district policy was that you can't bring your kids to school. And so she had to scramble to find child care for her child. That was wrong. That was wrong. And I've learned a lesson by working in other districts where they allowed the kids to be on campus. It never disrupted anything. So the way in which we're designing AVPA is that we're going to be family friendly. Small things and things that you feel like that are just common sense in other ways too. For example, if you work at the school, your child can attend. That's easy. We can partner with organizations to have an on-site daycare for employees only. We can. We have many organizations that have their license to do daycare. We just have to open up the space. And that one that's important to me is that drop off. If your child does not go to AVPA, if we're approved, there's no reason why the daycare van can't drop your child in your classroom till you get off work. That way, that relieves stress from you. We are educators. We know how to teach our own children how to behave. When I worked in Mansfield, everybody's child came into the campus. They never disrupted. The teacher was not stressed about where my child was going to be, and they continued on working. I want to continue to have that sort of policy at the school so that you as an educator are not worrying about your kids. And that's just the start. So far, so good. What are you guys thinking? Because I'm talking a lot.
That's a great idea. The on-site daycare is a great idea.
Okay, let's see. I want to skip down on one. So I can't tell you guys all this cool stuff. However, you've all mentioned this cool stuff. I'm just going to throw a couple of ones out there. Miss Mabry, when we first met, she talked about creating a program called Ignite, right? And I mentioned one word. I said, I'm concerned about the well-being of our educators. She said, oh, you're preaching to the choir, because I've got this whole Ignite program that I want to try in a school system. And so when I said I'm worried about physical well-being, she talked about the healthy foods like Ms. Davis mentioned. That's so easy to do, guys. The employee gym, isn't that easy to do? Weekly exercise classes on demand. Didn't we hear y'all mention that already? An employee lounge that's equipped with comfortable furniture, TV, quiet area, a sonic ice machine, snacks, and drinks. Isn't that everything you guys already mentioned? So I feel like Ms. Mabry, you were on the right track. But that psychological well-being, that embedded self-care activities like you guys have already mentioned. We want a speaker series for teachers to come in, because we kids always get a speaker to come in to speak to them. But what about us? What about our empowerment speakers or any of our speakers that can speak to us as an individual? Employee recognition leadership, that's a given. This is important to me, a therapist on campus, on staff from day one with a soundproof room. That's important to me because I need to talk to somebody. The economic well-being, based on your flight plan, whatever you say you need help on, we can partner with organizations in the community because they already do these things. We just need to invite them to the campus. Partnering with a local bank to give discounts financial planning class, budgeting classes, credit improvement classes, qualifying for a mortgage, home buyer service, home builder relationships. And we also can partner with adult education departments and Texas workforce commissions to offer industry certification for some of the adults in our community, because they do that. They just need someone to partner with. And then last is social well-being, those family events. I would love, if we get approved, to have our one of our days at Outdoor Learning Center. Can we rent that and just camp out and have s'mores? That'll be fun. Concerts, game, diverse cultural celebrations. There are cultural months every month. I would greatly dislike if we're a creative arts school, if we get approved and we're not celebrating all of that diversity every single month, like Hispanic Heritage Month, not just speaking about a figure. Oh, this person was 1887 to 19 and they did this particular thing. I'm talking about really enjoying that culture. We have Asian American Pacific Islander Month in May. I've never had a really good cultural celebration there. We should have that, and we can do that. Of course, the birthday social, I dislike the Sunshine Club, guys. I'm just gonna be honest, but we should still be celebrating each other. And game-based play and competitions. And my particular family have had to survive on COVID game-based play. We've had a lot of fun with each other because we started playing games. Why can't we not play at school games? Just to not talk about students, not talk about the lessons and things we have to do, but just enjoy each other and have fun. That's a creative organization, I think. I'm saying all this to say, I know you need a competitive salary. I know you need benefits. I know you need family-friendly policies so you won't have to worry about your children. But how else do we support your well-being? I need those ideas from you so that if we're approved, if we're already designing a school from foundation up, let's put these things in place as policies, as culture for our educators, as culture for our staff, so that people that work for our potential school feel good about coming to work, so that they can give that feel good to the students that potentially will attend our school. That's my presentation, actually. How can you support? We're still in co-design for a couple more days. I need your input. I wrote down all of the notes for today. You can go to bit.ly.com, co-design 2021, and give us all of your ideas, not just about supporting teachers, but how do we have fun in arts? What kind of cool creative things do you think we should do at a creative arts school? I need all of your input. And I will stop sharing and allow you guys to discuss.
Thank you so much. Y'all, when I tell you the things that I have experienced as an educator, the things that I have seen with educators really went into the ideas. When she asked me that question, I promise I didn't have to hesitate. It was there. It just started coming out. Because these are things that I've seen work or not work. Okay, so how can we get them to work? What can we do? And so I thank Dr. Stephanie for being just open to just the ideas and really trying to come up with a way to incorporate that into this school. We hear educators, we hear your cry for support. And I want, before we get off tonight, because this has been a stressful time of year for educators, those of you who are on here, do any of you have like any words of encouragement for an educator that could be watching right now that's having a stressful school year? They're about to turn in their resignation letter any day now, okay? But this is their passion. They're trying to hang on. What are some words of encouragement that we can leave them with tonight?
I would say don't sweat the small stuff. Leave work at work. Find a outlet, a hobby that's totally opposite of what you do at work. Something that makes you happy. Find that happy place. find something at school that makes you happy, or an area you can go to have that moment. You need those little moments. And then always keep in mind why you're doing it. If you keep in mind why you're teaching, it'll keep you focused even when it gets tough, because every job is tough. There's not people, most jobs is tough. There's going to be something tough about it. But if you keep what's important, it'll help keep you focused. But stay encouraged, stay the course. It's always greater at the end through the struggle.
Well, again, she took words out of my mouth. I would say my first thing is always remember why you got into this. It holds you a little bit longer when you hit that door. When you understand, and if it really is a calling for you, and you remember why, it gives you a little bit more grit. And the other thing is balance. Keeping the balance of the job, which is very difficult because we are at home doing lesson plans. I'm yawning. As soon as I get off of here, I'm going to be trying to put together some stations for my students and practicing with my little bit to make sure it's going to work in the class. But keeping that balance. I don't do this anymore. This is random for me. I work at school as much as possible. I plan my time to do it at work. So I plan my lessons to not overwhelm. I know we have a heart for teaching and we have a heart for learning, but sometimes we have to minimize what it is that we're trying to do and stick to the basics of what needs to be done. And that will limit the stress that we put, because much of the time, if you're like me, you're putting that stress on yourself. You're shooting for excellence. You have high expectations for yourself. You want your kids to learn. You want to give them all this stuff, and you're doing it to yourself. But if you just scale back, what's my teach? What is it that I really have to teach? What's the most simple, fun way I do it? And grade at your desk doing your planning. Use your time wisely. I started noticing teachers saying, we don't have enough time. And I looked at the hallway and we were talking. Or I looked during the conference time and I was in my friend's room talking. And we was talking about other stuff. That little secret room that we talking about right now, we formed it in our friend's room, sitting at their desk talking. And we're not lesson planning, we're not grading, we're not doing the things that we need to do. And now we're doing it at home. So use your time wisely and then take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, somebody be sitting at your desk. So love yourself and have balance. That's what I would say.
I would say you can't pour from an empty cup. So just making sure, pretty much piggybacking off of what you guys have already said, if your cup is empty, it's going to be hard for you and your students, right? So you have to make sure that you find something that you enjoy outside of work. Like was mentioned earlier, like your hobby. Like for me, that's ballet. Like I like to do ballet classes after work. And that's just like my little joy of something that I look forward to outside of, teaching. And just remembering your why and knowing that you're walking through this season, right? And it may be tough. There's going to be some days that are easier than others, but just continuing to keep on pushing on, even when the going gets tough.
I would say that was amazing, Miss Hart. And I do want to go ahead and feed off something that Miss Davis said a little bit earlier. I think that teachers should definitely make sure that they are taking care of themselves and reaching out. Do not suffer in silence. I know a lot of teachers, they just, whatever is on their plate, they stick to it and make sure they take care of it themselves.
Reach out to somebody, even if it's not at your campus. There are teachers nationwide. Find teacher groups, go on Facebook, reach out to friends,
Find
another teacher that'll be that support system that you don't have at that campus.
Because as
a first-year teacher, I suffered in silence for a long time, and I felt like I was drowning, and I had everything on my plate by myself. And if I would have just reached out or found a mentor teacher, even if my campus didn't provide one to me, I probably would have had an
easier first year or easier second year going around. So please don't suffer in silence. Reach out to somebody who can help you, assist you. Reach out to somebody who knows more than you, because as teachers, we can always learn new tricks to our trades. Like I had to figure out this year, stop going home and grading papers. Figure out a way to automate your grades. So
Hey, well, tell me how you did it, because
I figured it out. So reach out to somebody who can help you. Don't suffer in silence. You guys got this. Even if it's hard, you got this.
I love it. I ditto everything that was said. Oh my goodness. Know that you got this. Okay. I love the way you said that, Ms. Carter. You were called for such a time as this. This is your passion. This is your heart. You are appreciated. You are needed. So remember, and it has been said tonight, to take care of yourself first. You cannot pour into and give of yourself every day, but do not pour back into yourself. So I love that Ms. Hart said, you can't pour from an empty cup. Remember to really have that self-care, okay? Prayer works. I promise you. I had to pray so many days at my desk. Were there days that I cried? Yes. There were days where it was super stressful. However, I am a witness to say, and I know this is not church, but I will say that God carried me through and prepared me for what he had called me to do. He will prepare you, he will keep you, and he will allow you to do what he has called you to do. So stay in position. Know that you have been heard. There are people God is strategically putting in place to hear the cries of educators around this country, and that will not only hear it, but will put things into action to help. So I pray that someone's watching this tonight, that something that was said encouraged you, inspired you, giving you hope to hold on. Solutions are coming. And we thank Dr. Stephanie Love for the vision of this academy, to know that she has a heart for educators and for the things that we are going through and trying to find ways to help. So I encourage you to fill out the form and provide your feedback as to what are some things that are needed to support educators. I am grateful for every panelist, every live participant tonight. I know as educators, y'all, this is a sacrifice to use this time to come on here tonight, but I know that it will be rewarded. I pray that y'all have good nights, a good night's rest for your sacrifice tonight. And Dr. Stephanie Love, thank you for joining us tonight, for going over the vision of things that you have planned. And we're just in agreement and believing God that this will be approved, okay? If y'all can believe with us that we have the favor and what we need in order for this to be approved. This is my passion. This is my heart. And I know that it's hers. After talking to her countless meetings and just phone calls, I can tell that she has a heart for educators and for what she's doing. But thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the open book tonight, and we have some exciting events coming up. If you have not joined the open book club page on Facebook, please go ahead and join our page so that you can be abreast of the things that we have coming up. We host forums like this and panel discussions, but we also have guest authors. We have different artists that come on from time to time. So just please join us. But we thank you all, and we hope that you all have a great, great night and a great school year too. Be blessed. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye.